Mark, I'm going to say two words to you. Derick Watt.
Mate, here's the other one. Here's the other one and you know the money, right? So I'm trying to find I'm trying to find Derick Watt. So here's the stats for 2021. What Derick Watt, and we'll talk about this idea about he's good on special teams. Yeah. And that's not an argument. That is not greater than being what your position is. Let's put it that. Okay, you can be fantastic on special teams. It's not an argument for that, right? Now, I do bring up all the time how I think Miles Boykin is a really good gunner. However, I think he's a good receiver too. I think he can do both, right? So don't jump me like that. Well, Mark's saying gunner's only good here. Sorry. Boykin's good as gunner, which he is. He's a good gunner. And I loved what DHB used to do, being a gunner and being a receiver. I love that. They did both, right? Now, Derick Watt, last year in 2021, he had rushing. You know, he's a fullback, but you can still use him in the rushing game. He had one attempt. He played 17 games for 1 yard, right? He then, in the receiving game, Derick Watt had, and look, I know he's a fullback, so don't jump at me, right? He had 3 receptions for 15 yards. Now, here's the kicker. So everyone's saying we need him because he's good at special teams, and Owen can talk about the money soon in just a minute. He played in 17 games. He had 14 tackles the whole year. 14 tackles in 2021. How does having 16 yards on offense and 14 tackles on defense or teams make it worth the money he's getting paid? And also, I'm not even sure how many times that Watt was on the field to be a fullback. I wish I knew that stat because I would say it's very low.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's really low. I mean, just to go into the finance side of it, Mark, I've got here the spot track breakdown, and it gives you all the players' base salaries, their signing bonuses, their roster bonuses, all the bonuses, the dead cap hit if they were cut, and then it gives you their cap hit. And it also gives you the percentage of the cap these players take up. Now, obviously, TJ Watt is number one with a $31 million cap hit. But Derick Watt, now, out of 53 men on this roster, Derick Watt should be where? Near the bottom, do you think, Mark?
Oh, easily. If he's only teams, guys, he needs to be, like 40 odd, 45, 30 in the whole team.
Yeah. Well, in the whole team, Mark, he comes 10th.
See, that's crazy.
And where it gets worse is I've just done a bit of looking now. On the offense, only Deontay Johnson gets paid more than him.
But he's our number one receiver.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Look, it's even if he's one of the best players, right? If he's one of the best players, still to the same point, just because he can play special teams does not mean that should be better than his role being fullback. Now, I wish I knew the stat. I was trying to find the stat for last year for the percentage, but the eye test last year is the Pittsburgh Steelers did not use the fullback play to that ability last year. We didn't really see Watt on the field that much. I wish I could figure that out. I really do. I think there's a way you can find out how many snaps per game they had. Probably some site has it, right? If we get a chance, by the end of the podcast, we'll figure it out because that will really drill home our point. If he only plays like 10 snaps, 15 snaps as a fullback in the offense and does 14 tackles, that's 1 tackle per game. That is literally like what, 1 tackle for like what, $250,000?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't. Crazy, to me, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that why Watt's on the team. And of course, he could be, TJ's brother. Things like that, things of that nature, right? TJ's brother, but why aren't the Steelers? I'll ask you the question on why aren't the Steelers using the fullback and using Watt if they're paying him that much money?
Because I don't know. I honestly don't know, other than the fact that he's not up to the job. That would be the only answer. I mean, I don't think the other thing as well to consider is, if you look at the NFL now, how many teams actually effectively use a fullback? That's one question to consider. So I know the 49ers have Kyle Juszczyk, who's probably the best fullback in the NFL. the Ravens had, was it Richard or someone last year, but I think he's moved on now. They used him in the receiving game. But other than those two, I'm struggling to really think of a fullback that's been used. And now, if you think as well, there was a number of opportunities last year where you could have actually used a fullback. So there was a number of fourth and short situations, 4th and 1, 4th and inches situations where the Steelers either didn't go for it or they did go for it and it didn't work, where that would be where you would use that bulldozer type fullback, like a Mike Allstott, like a Tom Rathman, who used to play for the 49ers, who was a very effective fullback, like a guy like that. Now, if Watt's a good fullback, why isn't he being used? And why isn't he being used in those situations? That's a question, that I would love someone to actually put to Matt Canada or to Mike Tomlin and actually ask him, why isn't Watt being used on the offense?
Yeah, and also to a certain degree too, Derick Watt didn't play any preseason.
No.
He didn't play one down in preseason, and yet he automatically makes the team. So yes, we are not coaches. We get that. But as a fan, you're like, what if there are guys out there who went out and bought, not TJ Watt's jersey, but they bought Derick Watt, and they're like, when am I going to see my guy play? He never plays on the team. He never plays in the fullback motion, but in front of Najee, which I think would be actually, it's probably need that with some 2 tight end sets to help the offensive line get some push, because you got to use him as a battering ram to pretty much play the game how it's played back in the day. Run the football and run behind your lead blocker. And we haven't seen that. And I really, what frustrates me is I can't find that stat. But I'm telling you, it's not very high. We didn't see him all last year. And to the idea he made special teams, he made 14 tackles. Does that justify paying him $4 million or whatever? Is it $4 million a year, whatever it's on?
I'll tell you now in a minute. His cap hit is $4.713 million.
So 14 tackles, right? So 1 tackle per game. Does that justify being bigger than his role being fullback and the I guess, sometimes maybe a halfback if they give him the football? Does it?
Okay, Mark, I've found the percent. No, it doesn't. And I've just found the percentages for counts now. Okay, so in 2020, Watt played 6% of offensive snaps. In 2021, he played 7% of offensive snaps.
That's it. That is the nail. You heard it here first on Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. That is the nail in the coffin. 7% of his time on offense. 7% was on the offense. That was it.
7%. So 7% of the offensive snaps the Steelers took last season, he was involved in 7%.
So what's that? 60. That's 6 plays a game. What more do you need? What more do you need? Coach Tomlin is a winner. Deal with it. And Derick Watt it doesn't play.
Yeah,
we are. I'm sorry, guys. We're really fired up today. We're really fired up because we got called out on so many avenues. We're not big fans. We got called out on Twitter and YouTube how we're not fans of the team. But Derick Watt, that just 7% last year in 2021. He made 14 tackles. So you're telling me that those 14 tackles are bigger than the actual position being fullback and getting Matt Canada's offense into motion, return arounds or whatever. Using the fullback out to another check down. Like they even used to pass the football to Dan Crider. You know what I'm saying? Roosevelt Nix has been a better fullback than Derick Watt. They've used him more. You can't use this argument of like he's good on special teams because the percentage right there tells you they only use him 7%. So you're wasting all that money and also a roster spot. I would rather see let's go to a bit more positive. I would rather see the Steelers use Connor Hayward back there, because he's shown he can be a football player. Come on, man. It's crazy.
And as Reginald Rivers says in the live chat there, when was the last time, like you said, I think you said Roosevelt Nix, but when was the last time the Steelers used a fullback in their offense? It's not a thing they do. I've just found as well the statistic for Marcus Allen. He played 6% of defensive snaps last year.
So is he not in the same boat? So we literally have 2 players who are designed for teams. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. That's all they're for. Benny Snell, 9% of offensive snaps. Mark, I'm very aware of the time, obviously 34 minutes gone. Let's try and finish on a positive, shall we? Let's try and get, because I'm very aware of the fact we've pretty much whinged for nearly 35 minutes. But not without fair, and we've kind of put across some really good points as well. I feel that both you and I put across some decent points as to what our opinions are. And like I said at the start, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, whether you agree with it or disagree with it.
Here's a point though, and Darwin makes a real good point, right? And Derick is TJ Watt's brother. I don't care. I really don't care if he's his brother. Cut him. Well, how is that? The fact is, that's what we're saying. That these ideas of the relationship is more political than it is actual skill level, right? I don't care that he's his brother. He needs to be a better fullback, and just because he's his brother doesn't mean he makes a team. Right. I think that's absolute hogwash. It's the reality that's happening, right? It's the big reality. Okay, you got TJ Watt, you got Derick Watt, they're brothers. He's got to make the team. But the reality, is also he needs to be playing fullback, and he needs to be doing more than just doing 14 tackles in 1 year. That's 1 tackle per game. That's it. 15 yards and 1 carry. And 7%, he played 7% on 2021 teams. And he's going to take a spot over someone else, which I think, in my opinion, you can put in Connor Hayward, who can do just as good a job of tackling, playing fullback, playing tight end, and even playing halfback. But no, they're gonna put in Derick Watt. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So the notion of he's good for teams, right? That should not trump the idea of him playing on offense. Because at the end of the day, you need to play. He's playing fullback, and he needs to play more than 7%.
Yeah, and as Claude Bishop said, $4 million for a special teams player. That's absolutely crazy. That is a lot of money to be paying someone who's just good at special teams. And I think that's part of the problem.
Darwin, I think we agree, right? I think we agree, right? That's why it's crazy. It's why it's crazy. So look, we agree, but I know that it's like this. We know what the Steelers are going to do. I think we all knew Marcus Allen was coming back. I think we all knew Snell was going to make it. But why couldn't they just surprise us?
Yeah.
Just surprise us.
Crazy.